Okay, so now we're going to do another couple of examples on abstract rate. These are fun. These are worker rate problems. Okay, on an assembly line, M workers worked H hours to produce C articles. If D workers quit, how many hours would the remaining workers have to work to produce the same number of articles? Okay, now when we're doing this type of a problem, we're going to use workers times rate times time equals jobs. This is going to be our formula that we're going to use, and they show you that formula in your book. So now we're going to use the first part of the information to come up with a rate. Okay, it says on the assembly line M workers, so that's going to be our workers, M. Okay, worked H hours, so that will be our time, H, and they completed C articles. We're going to let that be our job, is C articles, and we have this unknown rate here, and we're trying to find this work rate. Okay, so we're going to divide by the other things in the problem. We're going to get rate is C over M times H. Okay, we're going to divide by the M and the H, and we're going to have our rate. So now we're going to assume that this rate stays constant. Okay, that being said, now if D workers quit, we're going to say, okay, D workers quit. So I had M workers. Now I'm going to have M minus D workers. So my new workers number is going to be M minus D because I had some workers quit. My rate is going to be what I just figured out, which is C over MH. My time, we don't know because they said how many hours. So my time is my unknown here. And now I'm going to produce the same number of articles, which was C. Okay, so I've changed my number of workers, and I need to see what's going to happen to my rate. So now, in order to get to my time, now that I have my time, I'm going to have to divide by everything else. So I can do this in one fell swoop if I want to. I'm going to say time equals. Now I've got my C over here, but then if I multiply both sides by the reciprocal of this fraction, okay, then I'm going to multiply by an MH over C and an MH over C. So the C's are going to cancel in a minute. And then I'm going to divide by this one, and I'm going to get an M minus D. Okay, if I had made this one big fraction, I still would have got the same thing. My C's are going to cancel, and I'm going to get my time is MH over M minus D, and that time was in hours. Hours. And there is your answer. Okay, and now we have another problem over here, and this problem is, move over here, get my page back so I can see where I'm pointing. Okay, so now we have Charles had P pounds of food, and this would feed M workers for D days. Okay, so now your workers are actually eating the food, and then 30 more workers showed up. How long would the food feed M plus 30 workers? Okay, so at first we had the M workers, and then we had added the 30 more. So we have to use the initial information to get our worker rate here. So we're going to say he had P pounds of food, and in this problem, the P pounds of food is the job. The workers are coming along and they're eating the food. Okay, so we're going to say we have P pounds of food that's being eaten by these workers, and this would feed M workers, so we'll just leave the workers off, M workers for D days, so rate times D days is P, the amount of food that they consume. Then 30 more workers showed up. So now we have M plus 30 workers, okay? And we need to go ahead and find out what this worker rate is. So this leads to our worker rate being, I'm going to divide by the M and the D. So I've got P over MD is my worker rate. So I'm going to put the new worker rate here, the same worker rate here. So I'm going to have P over MD is my rate. Okay, and then it says how long would. So the the time is the unknown here. So I'm just going to put T. And it's still how long would the food. They didn't add anything to the food, so it's still P pounds of food. So now the time, in order to get to the time, I'm going to have the P on the top here. I'm going to flip this and multiply on both sides. So when I do that, I'm going to get an MD over a P. And then this M plus 30 is going to come down to the bottom. My P's are going to cancel. And I'm looking for time in days. So this is the number of days. So the answer would be T is equal to MD over M plus 30 days. Aren't those fun?